Please bow down as we pause, empty our minds, and prepare our hearts. Almighty God, our Father, we come into your holy presence to praise you, to thank you, to declare our faith in you alone, to proclaim your power, declare your salvation upon all of us. Please save us from the wrath of the enemy. You said in your word, forget about what's happened. Don't keep going over old history. Be alert. Be present. I am about to do something brand new. It's bursting out. Don't you see it? There it is. I'm making a road through the desert, rivers in the Badlands. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. Thank you, dear God, for we put our hope, trust, and faith in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ alone. Bless our speakers, anoint their mouths, and let them proclaim your faithfulness and love, your power in their lives. All this we pray in the mighty name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ alone, and we say, Amen.
Please all rise for the Philippine National Anthem. Welcome to the Asia CEO Forum Philippines online edition, highlighting leadership excellence. Please welcome your host, Mr. Richard Mills.
Welcome to Asia Real Estate Forum 2020. And let's talk about how the real estate sector can continue to be one of the nation's most important engines of economic growth and employment. Many other industries have been hit harder than real estate during the pandemic, but not many. But that is all about to change because the recovery is gathering strength and good times are coming. So let's discuss everything from build to BPOs, POGOs, warehousing to real estate investment trusts. A lot going on and a lot to discuss, the strategies and ideas that can get this industry back where it always has been. So the gloomy days are past and good times are coming, it seems. We look forward to hearing about what more and more people in the real estate sector are calling the greatest buying opportunity of the decade. So let's get going with Asia Real Estate Forum 2020 right now. Okay, our first speaker, we're going to have Raul Villegas, the head of deals, strategy, and commercial due diligence with PwC Philippines, one of the most prominent, certainly, audit firms in the nation and the world. Raul has many years in the mergers and acquisitions business, valuations, corporate finance transactions, and so forth. He's worked on many of the nation's largest transactions. And I first met Raul when he was CFO for the House of Investments, one of the nation's most active investment banking groups. Also has an MBA from the prominent Kellogg School of Management in the US, and important for the real estate sector because he leads the real estate investment trust practice for PwC. So please welcome Raul Villegas of PwC. Welcome, Raul. Very good to have you.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Richard. And I'm here briefly to talk to you about 5 ideas for pivoting real estate that surprisingly, if you look at it, don't really require a lot of foot traffic or is exposed to a significant amount of consumer spending. And I'm here to share them with you today. First idea that we've got, and it intersects nicely with the essential telecommunications industry and real estate, is the concept of data centers. Now, if one will take a look at the drivers of the increase in the requirement for data and broadband and all of those technologies, it's no question that this is a major area of growth in the future. And really, we're just tapping the surface of and the potential for data centers. Now, people might say, well, what about the cloud? The cloud is pretty distributed. You still need data centers. But really, the cloud still needs servers to be able to house the cloud. And there are many data centers in the world. Certainly, there are a couple of data centers here in the Philippines. And this is one area that market players might consider. And you talk about the adoption of big data, the Internet of Things, and similar technologies, online learning, among others. And this is something that will be leveraged going forward. The next idea that we have, and it's also essential, is really cold storage logistics. Now, a lot of people have been talking about cold storage logistics precisely because of the supply chain issues that we have had in the Philippines, our large population, and also spoilage of getting goods and produce and livestock from farm to market. And cold storage offers the possibility of minimizing those losses and spoilage. But here's the thing. If you take a cold storage warehouse and apply automated storage retrieval technology to be able to increase the yield of the real estate, use less labor, and also use less electricity and power, then it provides a compelling proposition for logistics players to make that investment. Because over time, the investment in the technology makes sense and it pays for itself. Another area that dovetails quite nicely with trends in the Philippines and our population is really healthcare. And in particular, we want to emphasize temperature controlled warehousing for pharmaceutical companies and healthcare players, because there are a lot of reagents and active pharmaceutical ingredients and medicine that you can't store at ambient temperature. You have to store it in temperature controlled warehousing. And then you marry that with automated storage and retrieval technology. And you have that great intersection between essential industry, logistics, technology, and being able to become more efficient in temperature controlled warehousing. And also to be able to provide a truly value added service in the nation's interest. The next idea that really flies under the radar is document archiving. And as a subset of that, physical document archiving. Everyone says that documents are going to go digital. And that's true. I agree. But due to the operation of law and different requirements, particularly in areas such as banking, legal, the court system, among others, there are many, many types of documents that still require physical storage in a warehouse that's also temperature controlled. And again, you have that theme of using technology for automated storage and retrieval that will require less foot traffic to be able to put that into play. And there are a lot of entities, both public and private, that still require physical data storage. And they can't let these documents get subjected to the vagaries of weather, humidity, pests, and vermin, and other things like that. So this is also another opportunity where you have technology intersecting with essential services such as document storage, because these are documents that need to be preserved by law, and provides another good value-added service that players can provide to the market. The last one that we have, this idea, dovetails very well with developments in telecommunications also. Of course, telecommunications being an essential industry. And we know that the common cell tower policy already has had the implementing rules and regulations signed. There are players that are eager to get into this space, and the telecommunications companies are eager to be able to carve out a portion of their capital spending and, have the cell phone tower companies take care of that. Of course, they're going to be paying rentals, but the savings that they get from not having to have that bulk of capital spending, they can reinvest in other value-added telecommunications services. But what you have then is a situation where the common cell towers still occupy land, the telco companies still pay rent. So why don't we put that in a real estate investment trust? And so these are all themes that I'd like to summarize, because our EITs can put all of these real estate income generating concepts: data center, mobile tower, cold storage warehousing, document storage, pharmaceutical temperature controlled warehousing, real estate investment trusts. All of these are the next iteration of value added services that are vital in technology, healthcare, logistics, and preserving supply chain. And this can all happen because real estate investment trusts have come to the Philippines. We've had a recent successful listing, and we look forward to more activity here going forward. At PwC, we've got a lot of great ideas that we can help our clients, and clients win with PwC. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Mike Mabutol. He is President and Managing Director of Pinnacle Real Estate. He's considered one of, or maybe the nation's top real estate auctioneer, and has resolved more than 2,000 properties worth 2.5 billion pesos over the years, and a lot of experience representing owners, investors, global tenants, and so forth. Particularly strong in what they call asset management and real estate brokerage. So please welcome Mike Mabutol of Pinnacle Real Estate. Welcome, Mike, and glad to have you.
Hi, good morning, Richard. Thank you for having me here. Well, we will be tackling three things for you. One, I'll give you a quick market overview, basically covering the past 3 months to present, post ECQ. Second, I'll help you identify opportunities in the next 12 months in the real estate industry. And the third, we will be focusing as well on the must-haves, what you should do, what you should equip yourselves with to be able to adapt. Second, to keep up with the pace, survive, and our main goal, of course, is to thrive for this after this pandemic or during this pandemic. Well, going on market overview, economy in general, as we all know, has been soft and restrained. Of course, the real estate industry followed. Buyers in general are on a wait and see attitude. Surprisingly though, buyers who have plans to buy pre-COVID, who have plans to buy during the pre-COVID are back aggressively. It is important to note though, that these buyers are looking for good buys. So if we're going to put a number in terms of their offers right now, they are on the range after the ECQ between 5 to 10% already. Then if we're going to look at, well, the subsectors of the real estate industry, break it into, say, 4: commercial, industrial or steady, Retail was able to make adjustments. Residential, surprisingly, is moving. Most of probably the property experts had predicted that residential would slow, but after the ECQ, once we have gone back to work, gone back to basically moving the economy, residential is moving, especially on the leasing side. Then hospitality, of course, as we all know, took the major hit. Okay, I'll discuss quickly each and every sector. For commercial sector, again, basically covering office, retail, industrial. BPOs are still our main driver. Of course, direction of companies in times of crisis is to manage costs, and to outsource is always a logical option for them. Second, Pogo, you might be wondering, Pogos had slowed down, they downsized in the last 6 months. Grade B and Grade C buildings are suffering. Hundreds of SMEs, as we all know, are closing or downsized. And these are the main locators of these buildings. On the lighter side, of course, good news somehow. The Grade A and premium buildings are sustainable. On the demand side, these are the top companies that could ride the wave, of course, for the next 6 months. On the supply side, pre-COVID wise, pre-COVID period, we've been enjoying a single-digit vacancy rate. Then on demand for warehouses, this has been steady for the last during the last 6 months, and even with the emergence of e-commerce, the need for warehousing and logistics, of course, is still there. Malls, on the other hand, are being creative, if we could say, converting their spaces to other use. For example, malls converting their current available space to warehouses. So again, they're being creative to be able to adapt to this pandemic. Residential leasing is steady, as I said earlier. Housing as being one of the basic needs. Of course, people need to rent or own the space, but if they could afford it, they move towards leasing. I'll discuss this later as one of the opportunities that the industry could take advantage of. Sales is still there, but on a relatively lower price. If you're going to put a number, the prices right now is between 5 to 10% level below the market value. We have also monitored an uptick on landed properties as opposed to condominiums. The primary reason for that is, of course, concern on health and exclusivity. Then we have also monitored move towards Metro Manila fringes, the likes of areas like Laguna, Rizal, Cavite, where it is less dense, again, because of concerns on health and safety. High-end is stable, as always. Demand coming from both end users and investors is still there, while supply, of course, remains scarce. We've also, one of the things that we have also monitored for the last 3 months is emergence on interest for bank-owned or foreclosed properties. Of course, the main reason or the main direction for residential is adaptation to new normal with emphasis on health and safety. Hospitality, when it comes to hospitality, as I said earlier, of course, they are the the sectors that are the sector that is really majorly hit. They are somehow, the burden of the hospitality sector somehow is up by returning overseas Filipino workers and the BPO employees. Then we have also monitored increase on interest for private resorts for areas like Batangas, Bataan. And if you're going to ask me when will it recover, the expected rebound by this sector, hospitality, resorts, leisure, would be by second quarter of 2021. Then the beef of my presentation basically is identifying opportunities for you. One, important to note that during time of crisis, we've seen this during 1997 financial crisis, 2008 financial crisis. Right after that, the gap between the seller and buyer is narrower or closer. During an up market, the seller is, how would I put it, not really that realistic when it comes to prices. And the buyer, of course, having that innate nature in them to ask for discount, so that the gap between them during an up market is really wide. But this time, this is somehow, well, one of the silver linings during a crisis, that the gap is really narrow. The sellers are realistic. The buyer, on the other hand, is asking for discount. So it would be a lot easier to do transactions during this pandemic and right after this pandemic. Opportunities, of course, there will be good buys. Right now, we are on the level of 5 to 10% below market value. This could go as high as probably in the next 6 to 12 months to as high as 30%. So this is the perfect time for you to buy properties. Then for developers, I'm sure we have audience coming from the developer side. One of the opportunities probably that you could explore is the interim use of your property for leasing purposes. This is an interim source of revenue if the sale is not moving based on your projection. We have also monitored interest on staff housing, either in Metro Manila near CBDs or as far as Calabar Zone, Bulacan area, basically Metro Manila fringes. And then again, as I said earlier, there's interest on foreclosed assets. Invest as well on logistics and warehousing. Again, while we are moving towards e-commerce and online selling, there's always that need to there's always that need for logistics. There's always that need for warehousing. So it is one of the safest real estate sectors right now. Outsourcing, people will always outsource, so this is a good use as well for BPOs. Then one of the things that we have also monitored is the direction of the government to continue the infrastructure project, the build project of the government. So follow that route wherein prices would go up because of the infrastructure projects. Of course, needless to say that it will provide jobs and it will have domino effect on other sectors as well. Take advantage as well of the direction of the banks, of the PSP, for a low interest rate at this moment, which could be sustained in the next 3 to 6 months. In general, opportunity-wise, this is a good time to buy. Must-haves. Well, you have to equip yourselves with all these things. You should have an online presence. Your target market, 80% or 90% of them are online. So please have an online presence if you want to move your properties, if you want to be involved, if you want to sell, if you want to buy, be there, be in front of your target market. Needless to say, there should an emphasis on safety and health as always. This is one notch higher to the direction or the trend before of green technology. This time, after green technology, there should be an emphasis on safety and health when it comes to your offerings. Of course, maximize available platforms. Cash is king, liquidity, and as always, consult experts. As I end, let me just give you, or share to you this quote of course, Albert Einstein: "In the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity." That's it. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker will talk about technology. This is David Elmeral, the CEO and founder of Multisys Technologies. He's a full-time technopreneur, he says, a full-stack programmer by heart. He founded the organization. It's become one of the nation's leading technology companies and working across many industries and made a big name for himself. And one of those areas, I know, David, we've talked about this, is the amount of paper that is produced by the real estate industry. And I hope that you can help them, because whether you deal with the banks about real estate or land transfer or whatever, agents, it's a lot of paper and it's really hurting them and holding them back. So we'll have an interesting story about this in the technology industry. Please welcome Dave Elmeral of Multisys Technologies. Welcome, Dave, and glad to have you. Take it away.
Hi, Richard. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here again to Asia CEO Forum Real Estate 2020. We all know that real estate is known as one of the most secured asset and long-term investments. We all know that. Compared to other industries like hospitality, like hotels and resort industry, who took a big hit on the prices. Real estate will still be more resilient as it is. And it's called a stable asset and viewed as a basic necessity to businesses, families. However, since we're facing with the pandemic, people will still be like keen on buying houses. Okay, but with the new normal, people can be can be now converting this home or houses into their own workplaces, and they have to use some kind of like virtual tools to access and view online houses online. So I guess technology will be a new tool now to become a real estate business owner. I think we can easily use online platforms to make sure that we can still sell online. And also with the economic downturn, payment terms will be made customized and lenient for buyers nowadays. In order to entice the market more, it is suggested to offer discounts, promos, during these times. And online platforms can be one of the tools, to use so that real estate businesses can use. So with this information, software solutions will play a big part in helping real estate back in the market. This is true as people are now going online and people are now buying online everything, food, grocery. They also sell online. So same manner in real estate. So selling and buying of real estate properties and even real estate services can be done online as well. With restrictions still in place, mobility is limited and much online information should be provided. That's why mobile applications, websites, in Multisys alone, there are multiple real estate developers that they ask us to develop a lot of mobile apps and websites for them. Before they use this manual catalogs, right, to sell their real estate assets, but now they have to use a digital form like websites and mobile apps. This also includes some online communication between broker and client. It's very important. That's why we are developing a so-called property box, and we are partnered with several big players in the real estate industry. We'll disclose that soon. And most especially if you try to look at the situation now, brokers and real estate developers must be open to different payment methods as well. Of course, with security via online banking, bank transfer, e-wallets, and you have to embed a cashless, contactless, and paperless management nowadays for you to operate in this industry. That's why we are launching a so-called property box. It's a new platform. We are in like 50% of the development. So we'll be announcing this. Hopefully we can finish it at the end of the year. The features of this software solution can do a lot of things to enable property industry to have like a virtual tours, digital catalog of housing listings and condo units. We're also implementing property discounts and promos so that it will be more enticing to avail properties. We would like to invest or sell or buy properties. We're also adding our own chat box platform so that broker and buyers can do chat, can do like an AI to message each other for them to interact like face to face, but virtual of course. We're also embedding a lot of SMS and email marketing modules in it so that real estate owners can promote their business since they cannot do face to face most of the time. That's why, if you remember, Richard, 3 months ago, we were able to launch our text box platform. So it's an SMS messaging system for them to promote, their businesses. It's like an electronic marketing system with auto notification using email and SMS. So that's textbox.com. And of course, we are now implementing a lot of on-site payment capabilities. We are manufacturing a lot of kiosk machines, Richard. I'm sure you've known some of our products, the kiosk machines and electronic gates. And one of the beauty of what we do now is we embed the QR code scanning to establishments. And, this is very important to protect also the citizens, the residents of a certain a community. So we're embedding this feature not only to do business, but to protect also their residents and including their employees or customers using our staysafe.ph. It was relaunched last week. And it's quite amazing. We are now like almost 2 million registrants now, and we are accepting like 40 to 50,000 registrants every day. And it's quite amazing. We have like more than 3,000 companies now registered as establishment and business inside this a beautiful platform to save lives and to protect the community. And using the Property Box platform, we are also launching online portals for developers, for brokers, and for buyers. So imagine this platform, it will be an enabler. So this will not be a competition to anyone, but you can use this to complement to whatever business you're doing in the real estate business. And of course, we also embed some online property biddings, just in case that you would like to sell your property. You can take picture of your property, post it online, and then there you go. So you can now advertise it in a more virtual manner. Geolocation of property and online site visiting is also embedded in it. We also open property for Property Box for rentals. Okay, so if you have a property that you would like to, let people rent it, so you can also post in it, whether you sell it or rent it. So it's up to you. So it's a platform that you can use to operate. We also embed some kind of like a scheduling system for open houses or house tours inside that platform. So we're excited doing this, Richard, and I'm sure that in the real estate industry, we're so excited. We're working with the big groups now, and we're seeing a very good traction in terms of real estate. So I was surprised. I thought real estate is one of the, hit because of this pandemic, but we're seeing a different way of approach. People are now investing. People are now buying and improving and developing because real estate is a very good, not only as a business, but it's becoming of course, it's a necessity, whether we like it or not. We need somewhere to stay. We need somewhere to live, right? So that's it, Richard. That's my insight. So thank you so much. And good luck to everyone. And God bless you all. Thank you.
Speakers, we'll keep on going. Kathy Saldana is next, the Managing Director of PDP Architects. She is, people say, one of the nation's most prominent female architects, and known, I don't know, for me, I've always known her for hospitality design, retail, mixed use, and so forth, because she has worked with many of the nation's premier operators, Ayala Land, Shangri-La, Philinvest, Punta Fuego, Discovery, on and on, Marriott. But I know she also does a lot of, or quite a diverse areas of commercial real estate as well, warehouse space. Also, one of the nation's, or one of the city's premier tower called Diamond Tower in Davao is just coming on, and I read that it won awards and so forth, and particularly strong with sustainability in real estate, which is an important area. So please welcome Kathy Saldana, the Managing Director of PDP Architects. Welcome, Kathy, and we're glad to have you today.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be here, and talking about real estate now is certainly right up our alley. So indeed, the Philippines offers a lot of opportunities, even in this period of the pandemic. We have to pivot ourselves. We need to change. We need to revisit the way we do things. And because of all the crisis, the approaches, the fragile human relationships, we are looking at our spaces in a different light. In this regard, we are seeing that there are new design paradigms. We are not doing houses the way we used to. There always has to be an infection sanitation counter at the end, at the foyer. We now bring a lot of importance to what we have learned from our Japanese and Korean friends in design, where they always have a shelf for their shoes, where our Western counterparts always have their coat hangers near the door. Because not only do you leave all of these right by the exit and entrance spaces, you also have sanitizers, alcohol, and you leave your worries there. And entering your new homes now, things have changed. Same goes with hotel spaces. There is that social distancing that affects not just relationships, but architecture and interiors and real estate in general. We now have and want the luxury of land, the luxury of space, the luxury of fresh air. We want that luxury of plants, trees, moving breezes, and we see that in the value of real estate as we are now experiencing an urban outmigration. People now realize I can work from home. I can send my children to school at home. And even if the school that they are in is right at the city center in BGC or at Xavier in Green Hills, the family could be in Bataan or in Batangas. My work could be in London or in New York. But right now, I am working from home. And spaces now are finding to be the cocoons, not just for real estate, but also for human relationships. And in this light, we are also seeing opportunities for many other design and real estate work, from residential, the new paradigms, the communities that have expanded, the communities that have breathing spaces. We are seeing now that it is not necessary anymore to pack 10,000 people into an office building. We are seeing as well food storage, food sustainability, food sustenance, and the sources have to be close to where the people are. We are seeing as well so much reliance on connectivity. And in this regard, internet, the telephone, communications are all related to the demands of real estate technology. We are seeing, and truly, that there is that appreciation for the view of the sea, the view of the mountain, the nice skylines, and the cleaner air. And all these are opportunities, not just in Metro Manila, Metro Cebu, Metro Davao, but in all other environs where you can find comforts, conveniences, food, and be with who are the most important people to you. And that becomes the new cocoon of real estate in the Philippines and all over the world. And when doing this, when realizing this, we are also finding the significance and importance of sustainability. What is sustainability in real estate? Sustainability in real estate focuses on the 17 goals of the UN, hashtag SDG 17 of the United Nations, where they have identified every aspect that is important to development. But alongside that, all of that focuses on not just land, not just the building, not just glass, concrete, steel. It focuses on people. It focuses on relationships. And in real estate now, we are not just building homes. We're not just building offices anymore. We're not just building malls. We are building human linkages. And this sustainability, this love for the earth spreads out such vital significance. When you respect the earth, there is that contamination of all good and clean air, all good and clean respect for life, whether it's below water, on land, and it becomes a mutually healing earth where viruses, bacteria could be combated because we know and understand where we are and where we live in this real estate world. Thank you very much.
Okay, Andy Menyalak. He is an interesting fellow. He'll be our next speaker. He's chairman and founder of Havatas Developments. And quite a prominent guy in the real estate sector here. Many people, most people know him. Past chairman of the National Real Estate Association for a number of years. Also heavily involved in the Chamber of Real Estate and Builders Association, CREBA, another prominent outfit. And senior roles, especially in the hard drive and sales side of things with Eaton Properties, Century Properties, other organizations, and also launcher of or executive publisher of realestatenews.ph. I haven't seen this because I just heard about it recently, and actually very recently, right, Andy? But I want to see this, and because we do need a lot more information about what's going on in the real estate sector, and I'm sure Andy's going to provide a lot of this. So, with an interesting story, let's welcome Andy Manielik, Chairman Havatas. Welcome, Andy. Glad to have you.
Thank you for having me here, Richard, and I'm really glad to be able to share this. Share some good news in this type of environment that we have right now. Now, for the past 5 months, I've always been asked the same question: is it a good time to invest in real estate? Is it a good time to invest in real estate? Well, I just tell them, look, if you have enough investable funds stashed somewhere and you don't have any relatively safer form of investment, when do you think will it be the better time to buy? When the prices are lower, terms are friendlier, and choices are wider? Or when this already boom times, when prices are higher and choices are fewer and terms are much stiffer? So the practical person in us will tell us, of course, is to buy low and then sell high. Now, I've learned this also from the investors that I've met many, many years ago. You see, before it was only the super rich. It was only the super rich who can invest, who can take advantage in times like this. When they see blood on the street, that's the time that they invest. However, the good thing that's happening now is that because of the pre-selling schemes of a lot of developers, even the small investors, even the first-time buyers, even our OFWs can now lock in to their dream homes at the current low prices, avail of amazing discounts and longer payment terms with small monthly amortizations. Usually this will be about 3 to 5 years. And then I'm pretty much sure that by that time, things have already gone, maybe not back into normal, but we have adapted into the new normal. Because personally, I don't think things will go back into the old normal. This 5 months that has locked us down have developed certain behaviors with the people. The way we appreciate the environment, the way we become more health conscious, our change in priorities, our change in lifestyle, the way we choose properties, the way we do business. You see, and all of these demands or needs will be observed by the developers, and they will be serving these needs or wants. And you see, if in the old normal, we were just doing mostly personal touch and then enhanced by technology, right now, for the past 5 months, we had no choice but to really depend mostly on technology. But in the new normal, it will definitely be more technology, but still enhanced by the personal touch. You see? And then they ask me, okay, what are the good investments now that we can have in what are the good sectors that are doing well in real estate? Well, as reported by the previous speakers in the forum also, they've already highlighted that the commercial and offices demand have slowed down. But the good thing about it is that the supply has already slowed down, so that the gap has become quite narrow. Okay, but there are developers right now, developers especially of affordable projects, especially the landed ones. The landed ones, which are priced at around 1.5 to 3 million, are doing extremely well. Calabar Zone area, Batangas area, Cavite area are doing very, very well. Even in the southern province, like Davao is doing very well. Cagayan de Oro is doing very, very well. You ask the developers there, one of the top developers there, they have even hit all-time highs. All-time highs. Bacolod was doing well. As long as these developers were prepared to do online transactions. So those who were positioned before are already harvesting what they planted before. Now, how did it affect our business as Habitas? You see, the model of Habitas is we manage, we serve property. So we help people who want to go into project development. There are property owners who would like to go into development. And there are also foreign investors who would like to play in the Philippines and develop in the country. But the restrictions in foreign ownership requires them to find joint venture partners also. So we do the match. However, if there is a local property owner who would like to go into project development and they don't know how, this is where we come in also. We're what you call a DPO, or a development process outsourcing. So that's something new. So we manage your project development from the market research, project feasibility, size and best use, conceptualization, design, licenses and permits, sales and marketing, up to turnover. So we do that all for you. Or they can choose also which part of the services that they would like to avail of. Now, what's happening now is that, you see, there are three kinds of players. Those who are waiting for the market to bounce back. Let's wait and see. Wait for the market to bounce back. And there's the second one, who are right now enjoying the current market because they have the right project, the right priced project, and they have already prepared the technology part of their system. And there are the developers who are already positioning and preparing to catch this market when it bounces back. You see, the development process takes quite a long time. It's not like when we decide to develop now, next month we can launch. It doesn't happen that way. It takes quite a long time, maybe about 9 months to about a year. So, because it takes a lot of time from the planning, from the designs, from the permits and licenses. So maybe it will take about a year. So by that time, we have already started that. We see the head of recovery sticking out already. So what I'm trying to say is that somehow it is favoring our business model. And we have gotten a couple of big clients who would like to play in this field. Now, who are the ones mostly affected? In the residential part, there are some developers who have overpriced their projects, their properties, especially in the CBDs, and these are the ones who were heavily dependent on the POGOs, who were expecting those POGOs. We've been very conservative in advising our clients. We just focus on the domestic market. What can the local market afford? What can the OFWs afford? What can the local renters afford? Because if you buy something very high from me and you only depend on the foreign tenants, that's going to be quite difficult. But if you can generate positive cash flow, even just by targeting the affordability of the local market, then that would be a safer and more sustainable project. One thing I'd also like to share with you is that a lot of people are thinking, I thought a lot of OFWs are already coming back. because in the reports there are already about 500, 600,000, right? However, one thing that they missed is that, you see, about 85% of the OFWs were deployed in countries which are about 3 to 4 hour flight from here, mostly within Asia. 85%, and only about 5.4% is in North America, 6.4% in Europe. However, in terms of remittances, those from America remits twice as much as the whole Asia combined. And out of those 85%, 39.6% of those deployed in Asia are into elementary jobs. These are the maybe the household help, or maybe the farmhand, or maybe the help in the market, or waitress in the restaurant. And they don't really make that much. And that's the reason why when the crisis hit, they were the first ones to return. And but in the first place, they were not, even if these things didn't happen, this is the market that is not yet ready to invest in real estate. But those who are still there, those who are still steady, especially those in the healthcare, pharma, or tech, these are the ones who feel safer in their jobs, and they have money to invest. And they have realized now that real estate is still the best investment. So this is why I also came up with real estate news. People, when they see the headlines, it's very depressing. That's also the reason why I came up with this news curator or aggregator, if you may call it, because I want to bring in the good news of opportunities in the Philippines, both to the market and to the practitioners themselves, so that they can share this good news to our fellow men. Investing in real estate will really help our economy, will really help money get into circulation, and of course, consequently, help the economy get back on its feet. That's how important our industry is right now.
Okay, our next speaker is Christoph Vicic. He is the country head of JLL Philippines. This is the largest real estate advisory firm in the Asia Pacific region. And so we're really glad to have him. Christoph he's one of these high-flying senior executive types. Previously across in Russia and many of the former Soviet Union countries, and in Europe, and now in Philippines, where he's been for the past 4 years running the JLL operations here. And it's kind of an interesting thing, I thought, because he is has been one of the country's main proponents of this future of work technologies, especially from a real estate perspective. And his new office facility was completed last year, just before this pandemic. So no one can be prepared for a pandemic like this, but seems to me his new office layout and the work from home / work office model, he was better prepared than many other companies, and certainly ahead of the game in this area, this future of work area that we've been thrust upon by this pandemic. So this will be an interesting story, and I'm looking forward to it. As I just spoke with Christoph, I was trying to get details of it before he started, but I'll let him speak. So please welcome Christoph Vicic, the country head of JLL. Welcome, Christoph.
Thank you, Richard. Very nice introduction. Yes, I will tell about a story, and it's a story about reimagine, and it's a story about home and away. It is the new workplace hybrid, and I will give you a bit of a feel of where JLL thinking is going. First of all, let's start with the sweeping winds of change. I think we all, worldwide, COVID has forced change on just about every organization and every person. How we work, we live, and we play. In Asia Pac, while many aspects of human experience and reaction to pandemic are universal, we have some significant differences. Across the region, At work, the level of certain optimism about the future, feeling about working from home, and sense of productivity varies across market and age group. GLL asked 1,500 employees from 5 countries across Asia-Pac for their views about their experience as they re-enter the workplace and come to grip with the next normal. We wanted to understand the impact of extended period of remote work and to see which changes on professional behavior will be permanent and which one will not. One of the major questions was, do employees want to continue working from home or get back to the office as soon as possible? And as you can imagine, the answer is a nuanced blend of the two options. But it has profound implications for employers and occupiers and provide insight for the future of collaboration and productivity. Here what we heard. Social distancing restriction across the region caused an unprecedented and radical shift towards home working. Office shut, many remain closed as we speak today. While remote working proved largely successful, the question arose, could it become permanent? And do employees want it to become permanent? When asked this question, a consistent theme emerged from employees across the region. They definitely enjoy the freedom of working from home, but also miss human interaction and face-to-face collaboration that working in a professional office environment provides. Although remote working succeeded in the health crisis because it was an essential, almost unique alternative, that does not make it the preferred choice of corporation employees. We believe that physical offices are here to stay, reimagined and reconfigured to coexist with wider adoption of flexible or remote working arrangement. Leveraging the best of both will define the next normal in a post-pandemic world. At a staggering 68%, Asia-Pac work from home employees, 3 major feedback emerge. Why they miss the office. Number 1, human interactions, socializing with my colleagues. This was the most mentioned response. The number 2, professional environment with access to everything I need to work with. And number 3, collective face-to-face work with collaboration process. This is really important because this will define the next step. Let's go back a bit more detail. Millennials, we have to mention that, they told us they miss the office more than any other groups. They also said they enjoy flexible hours, reduced commuting, and work-life balance. And they also agree they felt that technology ready and create more productivity. Also, some also mentioned that they could not afford accommodation with space and amenities vital for successful home working. Second area, on the technology-ready productivity. The pandemic has accelerated the remote working trend, but revealed also limitation in productivity challenges. Employees who felt more technology-ready also felt more productive. At the same time, people not used to work from home for an extended time struggled to be productive as in the office. And then the third one, work-life balance. Definitely, and I'm one of them, I enjoyed my empowered and flexible working routine at home. However, it comes with challenges. Since they did not go regularly to a physical office, the boundaries between personal and professional world blurred. We didn't know if it was work time, eating time, leisure time, rest time. This has impacted the work from home population. Then now, what's the impact for corporate real estate? We talked about individual employees. The office plays an important role in the work lives of employees in Asia-Pac. We all know that. In addition to delivering a pragmatic benefit of working in a professional, non-distracting environment and interacting with colleagues, It's a place to experience sense of shared purpose and common culture. We want to be together, no doubt, and especially more in Asia, maybe than other parts of the world. Our survey revealed that a high number of employees are also confident about their company future. Lots of discussion about retrenchment, business going down, etc. Our survey showed that the 1,500, a majority believe in the company future, which means in the next normal, employees have a responsibility to foster this sense of optimism, whether the team are working from home or from the office. And as a business, we need to enhance human performance and productivity wherever the workers are located, home, remote, in the office. The productivity and human performance is critical. This is kind of to introduce the reimagined future of work. 3 pieces that GLL has identified. The first one, we are not the only one, the office is here to stay. There's no doubt. Even though business now realize that we can have roles and function done from home, it still remains to be seen if remote working can support long-term productivity. We are a business, we need our employees to be productive. Higher acceptance of remote working will lead to a more distributed and diverse workforce. And I will talk a bit about that later. And technology will be the best drive for this distributed workforce. We also find that not all employees across Asia felt productive working from home. They like to be in the office. Second, we will need to reimagine office as social hubs. In a centric economy knowledge, the future of an organization, it's depending on its workforce. There's no doubt about that. Our findings show that majority of workers, especially millennials, have missed the social and human aspect. And I missed it, and I'm not a millennial. The office provides a culture that cannot be replicated at home. And this is really critical for this second item. The number 3, future footprint will facilitate choices and flexibility. And again, despite the challenges, the mass work from home experiment saw many employees enjoy the flexibility and the work from home. However, not coming to the office was a negative. To ensure that this employee of the post-pandemic work will continue to enjoy this choice of flexibility, corporates will have to redefine the real estate. And home office, co-working place, satellite office, and the office headquarters will all have to be in a kind of an equilibrium to play its role. Then GLL spent quite a lot of time the last few months defining what's reimagined of the future of workplace is. And we kind of narrowed down by asking ourselves, and this is what we also ask our client and stakeholder. Number 1, how can we support community and connectivity in a person virtually? Number 2, how do we respect and prioritize a whole person approach to health and well-being? Not the company, the individual, our employee approach to well-being and health. And also, how do we create, number 3, a meaningful, safe, and engaging experience? This we're talking about future of workplace. And the last question we ask ourselves, how can the future real estate portfolio enable agility, flexibility, and resiliency? And this is for the occupiers, for the investors, for the landlord. Chin, take a kind of a 4-piece model within a center, reimagining the workplace of the future. 4 pieces that will need to be aligned when we fully return to next normal. The first one, we all will need to recover revenue. We all got hit. We all have negative numbers. Some industry not, but as a generality, we all got hit in terms of our revenue. We're going to need to rebuild the operations. They will look different. They're looking differently today with all the social distancing, the de-densification, which has to be done in the office. We also will need to rethink our organizational structure. And the last one, accelerate digital adoption. The only way the future of the workplace in this reimagined world will work is with digital technology. Then the next thing we did, we kind of, you have the physical space, you have the individual, the occupiers. Then we wanted to define what will be the new purpose of the office. And we have 3 steps that adding together define the new purpose of the office. One is clearly the office sharing ratio. Whatever we say, we will need, if we had to keep the workforce, and there's no reason why not, if we want to keep growing, we will need bigger office space to accommodate the same number of people we had before pre-pandemic. The social distancing, the collaboration will have to live with the pandemic. The business need, this will change, like what's essential, non-essential. Is it a portfolio approach? Is it unique site approach, etc.? And then the new behavior and new space, which is what we, GLL, had advocated a few years ago, the future of workplace, but our advocacy was without the pandemic. And this creates the new purpose of the office. And the new purpose, reimagine, same theme, reimagine the new purpose. What is going to look like? What the office will be for. And definitely it will be for learning and socializing. It will be for employee and client engagement. It will be for health and well-being, employee pride and belonging, and the brand experience. I mean, I know that when people came to our office, they love the brand feel of GLL. This will not change, which means that this is for businesses. Also, we're going to need to rethink as real estate stakeholders the portfolio strategy, and we're going to have to deconstruct our existing model and reconstruct the new one. We're going to have to take 3 major criteria into consideration: distributed workforce management, flexible and resilient portfolio, and diverse, healthy, and sustainable spaces. And I'm personally very pleased that the sustainability agenda has come really on top of other agendas in terms of the real estate industry, and this is good for everyone. Now, in conclusion, what GLL think that's going to happen is the concept of hub and club. And this is really the response to accommodate the reimagining new workplace. What is a hub? What is a club? Well, the hub, it's going to be the satellite flexible space that will be available out of town in residential area so that your employees can use it on demand. The club, and it has a meaning of the word club, this is going to be your central headquarter office. It's going to be used for socialization, meet customer, put people experience together, and create this belonging, which is still the core, and our survey shows it, people miss the office. But not the same structure for everyone. If you take 3 types of corporation, large, medium, small, the large corporate, they most likely will have a central headquarter, they will have suburban hubs and home office. Medium, central headquarter, flex providers, this is our friend Regis, and home office for sure. Small businesses, maybe a central headquarter, and definitely home office. And this is a hub and club future of the workplace that GLL is advocating. As my conclusion, we really, over time, the office is going to become less focused on desk space. It's not about a desk, a chair, it's about the hub and club. and it's going to be on the more focused side. The next normal of Hub and Club will be around emotional, physical, and digital. Emotional is about tapping into the senses of our employees. Physical would be definitely collaboration, socialization, and health and safety. And the digital will be around all these new reimagining future of work will be around technology, prop tech, and digital. Thank you.
We're pleased to have our final and keynote speaker. Her name is Anna May Lementillo, and she's the chairman of the Build Committee. And this is one of the highest profile government groups that you can think of. It seems everybody in business is talking about build, and for good reason. I certainly am a fan of this well before the pandemic, and the impact that is having on the nation's economy is profound, certainly clear across the nation. And the pandemic has put her in a position where many people say she will play a key role, her and her Build Committee, in pulling the nation out of this, economic slowdown that happened as a result of the pandemic. So really, really pleased to have her with us today. Anna May is delightful, I gotta say. It wasn't quite what I expected. I thought, government people were supposed to be a bit dour, but she is lively and full of smiles and energy. So please welcome to the screen Anna May Lementillo, the chairman of Build Committee. Really nice to have you, Anna May.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate the kind introduction. Now, it's wonderful to actually present the Build program. Thank you for giving us the platform. And my presentation will be about how the Philippine economy will survive the COVID-19 pandemic and how Build can be a socio-economic solution. So where were we at the end of 2019? The Philippines recorded the lowest recorded debt to GDP ratio of about 39.6%. This is the trajectory showing the national government debt to GDP ratio from 2004 to 2019. And as you can see, there is a downward trend. In 2019, the Philippines recorded the highest revenue since 1997 at 16.1%. The credit rating of BBB Plus is the highest in our country's history. We also have reserves of about 89 billion US dollars. This is the highest recorded so far and can cover close to 8 months of imports. The inflation is at 2.2% as of April 2020, which is within the target range of 2% to 4%. On April 30, The Economist ranked the Philippines' financial strength as sixth among 66 emerging economies. And the Philippines successfully offered 2.35 billion US dollars double tranche 10-year and 25-year global bonds on April 27. And I believe that so long as the PH deficit to GDP ratio will not exceed 9.0, the ratio will be median among peers with similar credit rating. As you can see, this is the debt to GDP ratio of Aruba, Poland, Peru, Italy, Portugal, Saudi Arabia, etc. These are the Philippines debt to GDP ratio in comparison to ASEAN countries. And this is the debt to GDP ratio in comparison to East Asian countries. This is the projected national government debt to GDP ratio, but it will still be historically lower compared to our historical performance. This is a trajectory showing the debt to GDP ratio from 2004 up until 2020. The government is embracing a 4-pillar economic strategy against COVID-19. I will not be discussing each one of them. I will just be focusing on phase 4, which is where Build falls in. So March to May is classified as the emergency state. We expect recovery from June to December 2020, and we're working towards resiliency 2021 onwards. And we believe that by 2021, the Philippines will get back on its positive growth trajectory, and we're working toward GDP growth projections of about 7 to 8%. What are the priority measures to revive the economy? It's to restart and accelerate the Build program, the mass hiring of contract tracers, to lower the peak of COVID and provide jobs, attract foreign investors to relocate from other countries, stimulate consumer spending by reviving manufacturing of products that have strong inelastic demand, and support the whole value chain of the products. What has Build achieved so far? Since June 2016, we have completed 14,670 kilometers of roads. We have completed 4,507 bridges. We have completed 6,022 flood mitigation structures, 479 classrooms, and 114 evacuation centers. This is one of the major projects of Build. This is the Luzon Spine Expressway Network. So from 385 kilometers, we plan to expand the high standard highway network of the Philippines to about 1,040 kilometers. So the travel time from La Union to Bicol previously was 16 hours. When we're complete with this master plan, is going to go down to about 8 hours and 15 minutes. This is a master plan that was created by Secretary Villar under the mandate of President Duterte. One of the key projects is the Tarlac Pangasinan La Union Expressway. We recently opened this expressway. It's an 89.21 kilometer expressway connecting Tarlac City to Rosario in La Union. Because of this infrastructure project, the travel time between Tarlac and Rosario La Union will be reduced from 3.5 hours to only 1 hour. We also have the Central Luzon Link Expressway, which is a 30-kilometer expressway from Tarlac City to Cabanatuan in Nueva Ecija. The travel time between Tarlac and Nueva Ecija will be reduced from 70 minutes to 20 minutes. The NLEX Harbor Link Segment 10 is a 5.58-kilometer expressway connecting MacArthur Highway and C3 Road. The travel time between Valenzuela and Caloocan will be reduced from 1 hour to 5 minutes. This has recently been opened and vital into reducing the travel time from Quezon City to Manila. So kung dati po inaabot ka ng 2 hours, because of this expressway, you can be in Quezon City to Manila within a span of 15 minutes. We also have the Metro Manila Skyway Stage 3, which is a 17.54 kilometer expressway connecting Balintawak to Buendia, Makati. When this expressway is completed, the travel time between Balintawak to Buendia will be reduced from 2 hours to only 20 minutes. We also have the NLEX-SLEX Connector Project, which is an 8-kilometer expressway from C3 Road in Caloocan to PUP in Manila and will connect to the common alignment of Skyway Stage 3. The travel time between SLEX and NLEX will be reduced from 2 hours to only 20 minutes. Essentially, what we're doing is now we're creating a loop within Metro Manila so that each city is accessible within a 20-minute time frame. This is the Plaridel Bypass Road. The travel time between NLEX Balagtas to Maharlika Highway will be reduced to only 30 minutes. We've also completed already the NAIA Expressway Phase 2, which is a 14.85 kilometer 4-lane elevated expressway from the endpoint of NAIA Expressway Phase 1 to Pagcor Entertainment City. The travel time between Skyway and Terminal 1 will be reduced from 24 minutes to 8 minutes. We also have the Cavite-Laguna Expressway, which is a 45.29-kilometer expressway connecting Cavitex with Cavite and SLEX Mamplasan Interchange in Binyan, Laguna. Travel time from Cavitex and SLEX will be reduced from 1.5 hours to only 45 minutes. We also have the Southeast Metro Manila Expressway, which is a combination of elevated and at-grade expressway from Skyway to Batasan Complex in Quezon City. This is about 34 kilometers. The travel time from Bicutan to Batasan will be reduced from 1 hour 50 minutes to only about 26 minutes. We are also working on the SLEX Toll Road 4 project, which is a 56.87-kilometer expressway extension connecting Santo Tomas, Batangas to Tayabas or Lucena, Quezon. The travel time from Batangas to Quezon will be reduced from 4 hours to only 1 hour. We also have the BGC Ortigas Link Bridge, which will connect Taguig and Pasig City in 12 minutes. Another part of the master plan is the Estrella Pantaleon Bridge, which connects Makati to Mandaluyong City. We are also working on several quarantine facilities. This was taken at the Ultra Stadium Quarantine Facility. If you have any more questions, please let me know. Thank you very much.
Key in your questions, comments, and suggestions via the chat.
Maybe if I could start it, just ask you a couple of general questions. But first of all, for yourself, how did the pandemic change about you and how you run your business and so forth? Are you working from home, PwC? How's it going there?
PwC definitely prioritizes the safety and well-being of our associates and employees. And we have been working from home since the ECQ began. And right now, we don't have a lot of visibility as to when we are going to come back and work in our office. But one happy circumstance that has happened is that we're actually very productive. We're still getting business done and we're still getting things done for our clients.
Now, you've been through a lot of, many years in the industry and so forth. You've been through past crises. How is this one different from others that the country has faced? Is it more or less the same thing? But this one seems different. What do you think, Mike?
Well, for the past 2 decades, we have had probably 3 crises already. This is the 3rd one. We had the 1997 crisis. We have the 2008 subprime crisis. Important to note that we have learned a lot from these 2 crises that we have experienced in the past 2 decades. Second, this time, our fundamentals are really sound. Safeguards are in place. For example, the banks, the BSP, to be specific, had put a cap on banks' exposure to real estate. So we're not that in danger, so to speak. And then we also didn't build, the developers didn't build based on speculation. We have seen this in 1997. We've seen this in 1997 after that financial crisis. We've seen demands coming from overseas Filipino workers, business process outsourcing, which stay true at this point. Well, of course, we could always argue that demand is declining now. However, they should be back because, one, we still have a backlog on housing. Second, we still have the BPO sector steadily moving. And then third, housing is always our priority. A third always of our Filipinos' income is somehow allotted or earmarked for housing. So the demand will always be there. Maybe in the next 6 to 12 months, they would be renting. But after that, they would go back and buy and look for their dream houses, so second houses, resorts, etc. And then, of course, the build project of the government. That's one of the things that basically separates this crisis from the current 2 crises. The past crisis that we had in the past 2 decades.
I really believe strongly that the real estate industry needs help on the technology side. But, people that I talk to, the companies that are right now doing well are the ones that are selling online and got online early on. There's one developer in CDO that is selling to Filipinos all over the world, and it's really saved their operations because they're transacting online, selling online, promoting online, holding online events and then transacting. It's really quite a situation. But how far away is the industry in terms of technology usage, David? How would you rate them? I mean, compared to other industries?
Actually, in the real estate industry, Richard, we're quite behind, to be honest, because we are more into face-to-face selling. Remember, most of the real estate developers, they hired some kind of like agents, to do like face-to-face selling, right? And then they knock at your door or they send you physical email. But nowadays, I think that will, enormously change because of this pandemic. And uh, but in my belief, since a lot of developers now are moving into their own digital play, we can cope up. And that's why top of our mind is to contribute something to this industry. That's why we're able to develop and we'll be implementing property box soon to somehow help them to expedite this digital transformation in terms of real estate business.
Now, Kathy, you're known as kind of a big operator or a big proponent of sustainability in real estate, and you mentioned more of it. Can you explain a little bit more?
You go through a process that begins with inception and then design, and then you continue on during the construction operations and through the livability and the operations of the entire building or the entire community. And all of those concepts focus on many aspects, from emission control, from pollution management, from understanding waste management, from respecting life on Earth, for putting forth the purchases and procurement of materials for low carbon footprint in the way you design, in the way you build, in the way you operate and manage. And throughout it all, also the important aspect of wellness comes forth. And indoor comfort, thermal comfort, necessary for people to have a view, necessary for people to experience natural ventilation and natural lighting, aside from the artificial lighting that we architects and interior designers and engineers introduce. So all of that is integrated into a whole sustainability equation that begins from the vision that you have for the community or the building all the way through its operations.
I'll ask you a few questions, Andy, because you've made some interesting points. I'm interested to hear, you mentioned online transactions, the developers that could do online transactions, but what do you mean by that? How do companies in CDO and people in CDO, for instance, Kegi and Oro, do online transactions in real estate?
Okay. Before, everything was done on hard copy paper. So the agent will have to go there and maybe do the viewings, actual viewings on the property, or for the local agents, they call it trippings. Okay, trippings. So they go to the site and then they view the site, they view the model unit, they sign the documents, and then, the old way, old school way. However, since right now, everybody has accepted the fact that we cannot do personal viewing, and especially these are the OWs. So the developers are already prepared with virtual tours and 3D presentations.
Okay.
And it's even better than going there because you see everything and what will happen in the future to the project, number one. So once they have decided and they have to sign the documents. Documents are already in soft copy. It is sent to them. They sign it digitally, or they just scan, sign, and then send it back. Payments are done online, and it's safer now. Prior to COVID, paying online has trust issues. However, now we order everything online, so I think everyone is more comfortable in doing things online. So as long as it is paid directly to the developers. So all the transactions are done seamlessly online. And I think right now they're also considering remote online notarization. We have a provider here already who is ready with the technology for remote online notarization, and it's even safer than the usual notarization that we have.
Yes, a very interesting time we are, and you really showed a lot of interesting and kind of complicated points. I guess it is more complicated than what it seems. But Christoph, maybe if I could ask you to start off, how did the pandemic change about how you ran your business here? People are working from home. I assume you're working from home. How did you organize things?
We have working from home still, but at the beginning of the lockdown, we mobilized work from home in 48 hours. And I would say we had already our digital transformation plan going on even before we knew that the pandemic would become what it is. So our journey started 3-4 years ago. We are investing double the average of our industry peers in data, technology, digital transformation. For us, working from home, head office people was really not a big deal. It was a bit more challenging for our shared service center because here we have a bigger population, and this is a population, as you imagine, which is a BPO type, serve a need system, a heavy system to work. However, they also did it. What we had less of positive was people who are working on site. We have our property management division and our integrated facility management, and the job is on client side. If clients were closed because the industry was not allowed to operate, this is easy. We were also not working, but we still had a certain amount of our clients who stayed open and that we had to serve. And I can just give you the challenges around logistic, around ensuring people are safe, testing, etc. And I really feel that our team did not a wonderful job, did more than a brilliant job. Today, we are on a Team A, Team B. We follow all the regulation. We even have more from an internal point of view. And for us, the focus is well-being of our employees. And we do not have a policy of returning to office. It's open. We obviously have systems that allow us to continue working from home and ensuring that our productivity level are high.
You had so many plans and projects underway. When the pandemic hit, how did it impact your project schedules and these kinds of things?
Build is also seen as a socioeconomic solution. I mean, there had to be a lot of adjustments as far as work conditions is concerned. But during MECQ, we already asked for an exemption for big ticket projects so that we can resume. But now all the construction workers are staying within the project sites. So there's a lockdown within a lockdown. So now construction workers are actually housed in barracks until the project is completed so that we could prevent the spread and ensure the continuance of these projects. And during the span of this pandemic, we've already been able to open key infrastructure, like the NLEX Harbor Link was still completed on schedule. And we've also opened the Tarlac-Pangasinan-La Union Expressway during the pandemic, which means that we're confident that the current set of guidelines used in the construction industry, particularly in build projects, are actually effective.
You know, Raul, we have these regular events and different things are talked about, but some people talk, especially the younger guys, talk about how, you know, Richard, they'll say, don't you know that young people now, they work from home, they play from home, they shop from home, they eat out at home. Why do they need commercial real estate anymore? Do you think that's a bit too melodramatic, or do you think we'll be somewhat back to normal over the next year or so? What's your views on that?
This pandemic is going to burn itself out. Now, the only question that we need to figure out, and it's not clear at this point in time, is when is that going to happen? Now, PwC Philippines did a proprietary analysis of the 20th century pandemics and also included the early pandemics in 21st century. And what we found is that pandemics tend to burn themselves out between 2 and 3 years. So given that, remember back in Spanish flu, that was followed by the roaring 20s in the United States. So that's something that we may be able to look forward to. And people need to connect. They need to get together with other people. And only something that is truly drastic will change that habit. So I look forward to when the economy bounces back. And right now, though, I can't predict when it will happen, But I do know from looking at the things that we've looked at in PwC, it likely will burn itself out within 2 to 3 years from when it first popped up.
Now, just so I understand, it's interesting that you talk about the residential sector. So what you're saying is residential projects that aren't selling naturally because people aren't buying that much right now, but they're converting to leasing, and then later on they'll convert or try to convert them to buyers. Is that what you're saying, Mike?
Yeah, well, developers could be creative right now. We have seen several developers putting up their own lease management platforms. They could continue doing that to take advantage of interest on properties on basically on the leasing side. So as we have monitored after the ECQ, we thought that leasing would residential would slow down, but then again, as I said earlier, we've seen a lot of movements, even interest during the pandemic, during the ECQ, and right after the ECQ, we've seen them going back to the market, but primarily focused on leasing. So in the interim, developers could have that interim use for their property, have it leased, and then sell it once the market has rebounded.
David, people say in the past 5 months, we've moved ahead 5 years in technology usage. And this, work from home model certainly works very well. But do you think employee engagement is still, something that we're missing and something we need to focus on, or is it overrated, especially with your tech people? What's been your experience, David?
In our experience, Richard, since our people are still working from home, 90% of them are in their own houses to do business, And I think because of this situation, we felt like we're able to adapt it easily. So because of we're using a lot of online tools, collaboration tools nowadays, and people nowadays they don't have choice but to adopt this kind of technology. But of course, we need to consider connectivity, internet connection. Of course, we need to have that, and at the same time, they have to buy their own gadgets nowadays. Before, they have to go to the office, use company computers or laptops, but now we have to issue them their own laptops. So we don't have choice but to give them all the tools they need for them to still perform as a relevant employee in our company. And I guess we are coping up, Richard. I know that it's quite a sudden, but we don't have choice but to adapt this new technology to able to still operate as a business.
I've always known you as, in my view, kind of premier in the luxury resort sector. And just for anybody listening, if you ever go to luxury resorts and hotels, you'll probably see her work. But I know more recently we were talking just before your presentation that you do a lot of other work. You mentioned warehousing for food and residential and so forth. Can you tell us how the pandemic has changed a bit the focus of your business?
We have realized that we are now moving towards 60% master planning and then 30% high rises and 10% warehouses and residential. We are finding so much food depot work, and these people are expanding as they are seeing they need to have the logistics and the reach to be able to go to other communities aside from the urban city centers. And because of that, you also have the deliveries and the depots, cold storage, logistics warehouses, very critical new projects, and they are found all over the country now and all over the world. We're even looking at vertical warehousing, where a high rise could be used for storage, and how the technology, the freight elevators could handle the weight and the management of it. And so you see these new design attributes and these new design paradigms providing us with solutions that will lead us not just through the pandemic, but after, way after. It's all about future proofing. And then we are also seeing opportunities in new communities. So we now have projects where just about 2.5 hours away from a city center such as Manila, there is that luxury escape. There is that need for people to drive. They don't need to go to the airport, and yet they can experience the sea, they can experience the views of the mountains, fresh air. They can come unmasked. And that's important. That's important, especially when they're only with their loved ones and the people they're comfortable with. And we are doing quite a lot of these, and I call them luxury escapes. So it is important for us to understand that these new developments will pave the way for the livability of this new earth that we are all in.
You know, I've heard it so many times recently in different sectors that this COVID crisis has pushed ahead a lot of these technologies by maybe 5 or 10 years.
Yes, true.
I didn't know this was already happening, Andy. That's very exciting. And so you think that you mentioned people in the OFWs in the US, Canada, Europe, I think Australia. So these are some of the key buyers of real estate in Philippines. Is that what I heard correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
True. Actually, this even saves the developers a lot of money in deploying agents, because before we used to deploy hundreds of agents in different countries, do a roadshow, rent a venue, provide food in a restaurant. Recently, for a particular developer, I'm doing the fourth leg tomorrow to do the roadshow for them. Imagine 19 countries, simultaneous, over 200 people attending a roadshow, and they don't even have to spend for the airfare and accommodations of their agents. And they do almost the same, if not even higher sales.
That's so interesting. My goodness, because I know even in Toronto is where I'm from, Andy. I don't know if I mentioned it. And I know the road shows here, they come through on a regular basis. And I always thought, my God, it's so expensive what they're doing. So that's very interesting. And now, Andy, you also talked about the Chinese investors in the real estate sector here, which of course is a very important part of the the market, and some developers in particular are very highly exposed to that. Do you think Philippines is at risk of them having to go home, you think, or are they just reducing maybe investment, because many of them are having trouble just simply getting home? You know, they might have visited China and can't get back to Philippines.
There are experts who are more exposed to this, but then from my end, what we have seen is that of course there's a certainty whether will the POGOs go or stay. But more than that, the question that we've done some research last year. It's not just will they be leaving the country? Because remember, that was an issue even before President Xi, before his trip to the Philippines, right?
Yes.
They were saying, okay, he is here, maybe after his trip, he will tell everyone to go back. There's always that Damocles sword hanging. There's always that thing. That's the reason why we always advise our clients to focus on the domestic market. However, even if that doesn't happen, even if they don't leave, there is always a possibility of them moving to other locations, cheaper locations. We've inspected a lot of projects in Pampanga, especially in the Clark area. They're there by the thousands already. In Iloilo, Iloilo's developing, and it's a fantastic place. The Southwoods area, Batangas, some parts of Laguna, they're moving in that area, where it is, because properties here are getting to be very, very expensive already. They're the ones who push the prices high. They're the ones who push the selling prices high. They're the ones who push the lease prices high. So I think they're actually the ones to blame for pushing the prices high. So they're not. There's that possibility of them locating into more practical areas, even if they don't leave.
Now, Christoph, I know you have a very strong background in logistics. You were country head of a large organizations for DHL in Europe and so forth. So it's a good, and that has been one of the strong, or one of the very big opportunities for real estate. It seems everywhere you drive, there's new huge warehouses being built. Can you explain a bit more about the opportunities in the logistics sector for people listening?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, obviously the size of the country, the population, the GDP growth pre-pandemic, there was already what we call the green shoots of the logistics sector. It is heavily driven by consumer behavior. Pre-pandemic, the logistic conversation with clients and prospects was around the need to serve, and it's mainly at the moment Metro Manila, even if we've seen a shift recently, is to serve the client in Metro Manila. A lot of logistic providers, supply chain, felt that having one distribution center is not enough, especially with delivery restriction, with the frequency of delivery, and this is linked to the retail real estate, especially restaurant, food and beverage, small cut, small size, not a lot of storage area, not a lot of freezer area, which in this was the first push 18 months ago. Then the pandemic has really opened a new world of e-commerce, deliveries, online, and this has pushed the request for storage, modern warehousing, modern operation in warehousing to the new level. And today I would say that if you can say one of the positive green shoots out of the pandemic, it's a logistics supply distribution center. Everybody wants to have bigger warehouses, more modern. Everybody's looking at ensuring that the fleet of deliveries is on the road 24/7, because the fleet cost is one of the key elements of the supply chain cost model, which we've seen a lot of demand. We also see, because of some of the less successful sector like retail, I'm talking brick and mortar shopping mall, we see some of the shopping mall investor, developer looking at logistic, not for themselves anymore, but also to third party. They have the knowledge. They have already network operating for their own tenants, and the bridge to third party provider is not that great, which means, a lot of interest outside Metro Manila, because there is also a feel of BCP, which is your business continuity planning. You do not want to have one or two major distribution center around Metro Manila if you're a domestic player. You want to also have something in Mindanao, Visayas, and other regions.
You gave a lot of good financial information, and yes, it is a very positive story. Unlike, I can tell you, or you probably know, what's going on in many other countries where the fiscal situation is degraded tremendously. But for the Build program, how, in terms of percent of GDP or funds spent, how does it compare, or how much money is being spent?
I mean, originally, the Philippines is only spending about 2.4% of the GDP on infrastructure. During the time of President Duterte and Secretary Villar, we committed to at least a 5.4% spending on GDP, which is also the acceptable ratio as far as other countries are concerned. Since historically speaking, the Philippines has been spending the lowest in ASEAN as to infrastructure project, and this has caused a lot of problems. For example, Metro Manila alone is losing about 3.5 billion pesos a day on traffic decongestion in Metro Manila.
Okay, and you are you already close to that 5.5% ratio now?
Yes, this has been the ratio for 2017.
Wow.
So now we're starting to feel the effects of the Build 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 program, and we are confident that most projects under the Build 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 program will be completed by 2022.
Thank you to all our speakers for today. Please welcome Ms. Rebecca Bustamante for the closing remarks.
Thank you so much to all our speakers for sharing or giving us an update about real estate industry in the Philippines, sharing what's happening in their organization, that despite of this pandemic or challenges happening, they are very positive that Philippines will continue to grow. So thank you so much for sharing that update to us. And also, we want to say thank you to all our sponsors and to the viewers who join us today, viewers from Canada, US, Singapore, Malaysia, and of course, across the Philippines. Thank you for joining us. And of course, continue sharing your questions, and all the speakers normally answer your question directly. So continuously communicating with them so that they can answer based on the question that you want, okay? And looking forward to see you on the next event, September 24, called Diversity Forum. Thank you at maraming salamat.
In 2014, we were part of the emerging Asia. In 2015, we excelled in solidarity. In 2016, we went to the future. In 2017, we were the global center of growth. In 2018, we helped build the country. In 2019, we stood on the shoulders of giants. In 2020, we are united towards First World. This is the Asia CEO Awards 2020, United Towards First World.